Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication.
Hi, welcome to Mercy TV, your live medical cannabis call-in show. Greetings, my name is Perry, and this is
Sunny. And you know, if you have any questions, do you have questions about any medical cannabis, please give us a call because we can help you get the answers. Everybody out there has lots of questions about lots of things to do with the cannabis. You know, the cannabis is good medicine, Perry, and everybody has lots of things they're talking about because they're changing all the laws. You know, the legislation is doing lots of changes. And did you hear about some of those changes?
Yes, well, that's why one of the questions we're getting is why should I stay a patient? What's the benefit because of all this crappy nonsense that they're going to try to make folks go through? But in the long run, the answer to that is it's because the patient community is more served by being able to network with other patients. The recreational market, if you will, is just that. It's a market. It's not a network like the medical cannabis community is. So you're able to get medicine free. You're able to get clones and babies. You're able to get help starting up your garden and all these other things that the co-ops and not other nonprofit entities and groups are still able to do, at least for a while before all this nonsense gets even worse than it is. You know, some of the things that we're talking about is that the careful regulation of extracts, the gardens, it's every little bit's got to be weighed and measured. Now, some folks are arguing that it was a good exchange because we finally got rid of the odious 12-inch rule and replaced it with something a little more, you know, horticulturally sound.
What's the definition?
Right.
And that definition is flowering. And if our plants are flowering, then that counts as one of our 6 plants. Every plant that is flowering counts as one of your 6. So if you have 6 that are flowering, that's your 6 plants for your medical garden.
Yeah, and for some folks that works, and for some folks it doesn't. It's all, I guess, on how you utilize it. And we'll be talking more later on in the show about all the various ways that you can use the whole plant for your purposes there.
Well, and a lot of people have let their cards go because the recreational has become so abundant and everybody's doing it. And what they don't realize is by doing this, they have a lot of things they're losing in the process because of their status of being a patient. And a lot of patients use more medicine than most recreational users.
Well, mostly I think it's in the modality. It's how it's delivered. The medical cannabis community is more into medibles, oils, teas, tinctures, particularly those that are given the most control over the toxicity. Like we found that folks who are applying it topically with the oils are experiencing relief without the toxicity, without getting high, and most importantly, without testing positive on any drug tests. So that's something that folks need to be aware of. That's something our community is more aware of, certainly than folks on the recreational market who are admittedly looking to get the most bang for their buck.
Right.
So,
well, and a lot of people don't really care about that, like you're saying, they want to get their bang for their buck. But the people that are using it for medical purposes, really, a lot of them have a job. A lot of them have a job, they're working, and you know what? They can take a little of that oil and rub it on, and they work all day long. You know, and versus taking those pain pills and putting up with the side effects of those pain pills have side effects that are horrendous, bro. And everybody knows that, you know, I can use a little topical oil and rub that on, and have no side effects?
Right. Well, let's talk about the case that
No,
we
the
heard.
side effects is your pain is relieved and you're feeling better by rubbing that healing oil onto your aches.
Actually, I would classify that more as an effect,
Yeah.
as opposed to a side effect, something that also occurs. I mean, that's what you're applying it for. And in addition, the side effect would be the munchies that you would get if you were to, say, consume it,
Right.
ingest it. But the, when we were talking about the oil, the folks being able to, that they're with their jobs and all. The another thing is that we're finding out more about different strains that have the right combination of indica versus sativa, and properly managed can get folks that has a nominal amount of THC, but all of the other elements that folks are able to utilize. So you can use various strains at various points in various modes. Use the heavy indica for the evening. In medical forms, concentrated, use the sativa during the day, and so forth. But this is just what we know now, and really should be ending the war and able to get everything we can out of it.
Well, it's back to education. Perry, a lot of people right now are going on this mad rush on the people that are all going recreational. At the same time, there's a big education thing that everybody's missing, because cannabis is very good medicine, and we really do need this to be, because there's a lot of good things that people, a lot of people need to be sharing this.
Right.
They should be, really, a lot of people need to be sharing about the cannabis, that they could be using it and not using a lot of these hard narcotics.
Right.
That they're losing their liver and kidneys, and people don't understand they get using these hard narcotics for 10 and 15 years.
Right.
Well, man, down the road they have so many bad things go wrong, and they've had such a bad quality of life between today and then. And you know what? That's not necessary.
No, it's very debilitating. Yeah.
So, a friend of mine, his son introduced him to the edibles. He's a card holder and that. Now he's off of all the pharmaceutical drugs that they, over the years, were feeding him. He doesn't have the problems that they were giving him, the pharmaceutical, because he was using a cannabis edible.
Right on. Another success story.
Well,
That's how it works.
That's why cannabis needs to be in the conversation, that people know that it is medicine, and that it is easy medicine to be able to use. You don't have to go to all these troubles that people are worried about, having to go to the stores and buy it.
Well, it's certainly more benign than the standard medications. I think it's one of very few that has no overdose potential with it.
Gentlemen, Connie's on the line.
Oh, excellent. Go
Thank
ahead,
you.
caller.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How's Connie doing?
Pretty good.
How is the cookies?
I enjoy my oil. I use it every day on every meal.
And there's another good. Connie has been doing her oil for quite some time, and she's told me a number of times how well it motivates her every day.
Yeah, in fact, I've got two sites right now. One to cook with and one to eat.
Well, and you
Very
know,
good.
that's a very good point that Connie's making, because if you have a couple different jars, you can have one for eating, one for cooking, one for rubbing. I mean, all of the different things that you do. Is this not what you're doing? That correct, Connie?
Yes.
So How is everything else is going well?
Yes, it is going pretty good. I always, I use virgin olive oil, and when I make my new batch, instead of olive oil, I pour some of my old oil in my new oil. I mean, it's kind of strong.
Right on.
Yeah, that's how you do it there.
That helps you get started. That helps your new batch get started.
Yeah. Well, I just like calling you guys are doing.
Well, that's very nice, and thank you very much, because I know all the times that you've done it has been very good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and people, we'll get you back on this TV show, Connie. You need to come back in and be a guest
Okay.
again.
You
I
bet.
got purple hair though now.
All right. Thank you for calling.
Goodbye.
All right.
Thank
bye.
you, Connie.
Well, nice of her to call in and share that information.
Well, and that's, Connie is in a wheelchair.
Right. She's pretty disabled,
And she has lots of reasons why she can't do things, but she uses cannabis oil. She eats a lot of cannabis foods.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It allows her to have a quality of life that, all of the narcotics that they're putting her on and trying to give her all, she don't have to do it all.
Right.
And she does a very good quality of life and has very good high energy, and she ain't sitting around being a couch potato in her wheelchair. And that's what everybody that is trying to say what cannabis does to people, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not really true, because some people might get like that, but it really does help motivate people.
Yeah, it doesn't turn everybody into couch potatoes. A lot of folks are motivated to go out and have a quality of life, like somebody was talking about before. And it's as he was stated earlier, the status quo, the government's trying to do with it. Among the other things, the bad bills that went through last legislative session is one that's insisting on a study of cannabis, but not the kind that we should have. It's going to make sure it tracks all the deaths, any harm
Right.
that could be associated with cannabis at all. And it's just a witch statistic hunt, It's the same thing. They're already doing it in the hospitals. They interview folks. If you've ever consumed cannabis, then that's to blame for whatever you're there to visit them for, And it's nonsense, Instead of saying how many lives it's saved and how these folks have done this, instead of getting this information like we have about cannabis, if you rub it on, is non-toxic. It doesn't get you high, so we can bypass that thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that to begin
Right.
with, but that would eliminate that excuse for it. And still, they won't allow it. They won't let the news to get out and all. And
Well, and it does allow people to lower the doses of narcotics they're taking. It allows them to get away from the narcotics they're taking. And there's a lot of people out there, and we always like to say hi to the people in the hospital. So hi to all those people in the hospital that are watching, because there are people that do watch in the hospital, and it's a bad thing when you're up in the hospital. And we all know, because a lot of us have been in the hospital, and it's a conversation that a lot of people have not had about cannabis. And it is, yes, sir.
So, if you would look under patents with cannabis oils, you would find out that the government already has the rights on these patents, these formulas that they on cannabis oil. So they're just waiting for the government to legalize it so they can produce this stuff.
Well, control that to the highest bidder, yeah. What sheer hypocrisy, what, utter government nonsense to, go and argue before a judge, some official person, that cannabis is medicine, and then go down the hall and argue before another judge that it's not medicine and we should keep it illegal, you know. So they make one argument to get their patent, and it's just a placeholder. It's prevent anybody else from getting a patent that then, you know, allow cannabis to be made available to we the people. So just another example of the nonsense surrounding cannabis in general, much less for medical purposes, and why you and we the people, need to get active. We need to register, we need to vote, we need to make sure everybody we know is registered and voting also. We need to attend every hearing. We need to, all these commission meetings that are going on where they're talking about the rules. There's both the medical side, the Oregon Health Authority has regular meetings involving the Oregon Medical Marijuana Program, and now the Medical Marijuana Dispensary Program, MMDP. The bureaucracy just keeps growing, and the folks need to be aware of this and not let this big, huge boondoggle go on. Devolve, I should say. I was going to say evolve, but it will be a de-evolution of getting rid of the bureaucracy of cannabis prohibition to replace it with a cannabis over-regulation.
Well, and people in the hospital have not had the conversation with their doctors about being able to use cannabis. Maybe they haven't been able to talk to their families about being able to use cannabis. It's a good time to talk to them because cannabis is very good. And a lot of people just are still under the belief that cannabis is not medicine and that it's not good, and it really is. And that's why we do this show, and we try and tell everybody about it, because there are so many good things, and there's so many good, like Connie Collin.
Mm-hmm.
What a beautiful, Connie is so, she has so many reasons not to be good,
Mm-hmm.
and she's doing her oils, and she's doing all the things that it takes to, well, because it is good, and it does help, and it does make a difference. And
Mm-hmm. It certainly has in her life, but she's not keeping that to herself. She's
Sure.
outreaching there in the home she's in. She's calling us up. She, was getting out earlier, trying to get to any place or speaking gigs, like the TV show,
all right,
where she could share her story of how cannabis helped her and was a downright miracle for her. And so we should, continue to help folks get with the program, get your card, maintain your card. If you're somebody who has, somebody, they could benefit from them, from medical cannabis. Talk with their doctor. You folks in the hospice care as well, your recoveries, rehabs. By the way, you want to do a shout out to Pat and Sean if you're watching, and also speak to your nurses. Also say hey to the nursing community.
Right.
We've had contact recently about the cannabis nurses, and just to clarify for any that may not be aware, you are authorized by the law to handle their medicine. So if you have somebody that has some medical cannabis, you can hand it to them. You can help
it's
them
all
get
good.
medicated,
Well,
medicating.
and a lot of the people don't know.
And vaporizing is,
Well,
hospital approved, that
it's-
method. So
Well, it's legal, but it's legal for the state. They wrote it in the law for the medical marijuana law. There's so many ways it's covered. Nobody is trying to make anything illegal, and everybody's trying to make sure that all the patients are covered and that the healthcare professionals are covered.
Right.
And, because cannabis is good medicine, and we just want everybody to know all of the reasons and ways that you can be covered, and not worry and not have reasons not to do it, because there's all the reasons to do it. And the old school of thought was it was so bad and no reason to.
right, and it still holds. The reefer madness is all the last refuge of a scoundrel, and that's what we're going to get big fat doses of. We won't be long before we get, like this report that the state government's gathering, getting all this negative information. They'll get it one way or another and come out with a report, probably get some federal nonsense, either drummed up from old stuff or have them make up another batch of credola out of whole cloth. And you know, we'll get more of these reports about how the negative effects. I think they did something in Colorado here recently where they had, all this driving stuff's up, all this, the pets are dying, children falling like leaves, you know, horror, death, destruction. And you know, expect more of the same, whether it's true or not, you know.
So earlier this week, I went up to Portland to the State Building on Oregon Street. They had a marijuana rule advisory committee. I filmed this. It'll be on this station and on the YouTube channel shortly. You could see what malarkey they're trying to pull over on us.
Well, that's a good time
Yeah.
to look, you know.
And these are big things. We're grateful PK is able to make it out to capture these, like the legislative hearings that were going
Right.
on, the Advisory Committee on Medical Marijuana, and this one here was the Rules Advisory Committee, or RAC, and they talk about pretty much all the rules at some point or another, particularly when change has gone through, like this HB 3400. Et cetera, nonsense that's going through. And on the rare occasions, you can get to speak, but at the very minimum, we'll get to see the sausage makers in action. And it may be tough to watch, but it'd be very, you know, educational and certainly inspirational when it comes to registering and voting and controlling who makes up these commissions and so forth. You know, on that note, I'd really like to see an Oregon Cannabis Commission formed and the power, the control taken away from the OLCC and given to the OCCC because it's nonsense to have, I mean, all these years the OLCC avoided it. You know, that somebody would say, why don't you do it? And then no, they would fight any bill and law and rule and stuff. And now all of a sudden they're grabbing onto this thing with both hands. It makes no sense unless you figure
Money.
that. Money, exactly.
Well,
they
and
want to
that's
set up more
always-
and more bureaucracy. You know, so here they get to control or make, you know, continue the war on this thing, which is basically competition to their you know, constituency.
Right.
You know, all these liquor store owners and stuff now have the commission doing their dirty work for them by, you know, suppressing it and worrying about it and saving the children. You know, saving them for what? Budweiser? What the heck? You know, you know, it's like having the fox running the hen house. They have the OLCC in charge of, you know, the potheads, the cannabis consumers and stuff. So, you know, I'll put my statement right down here now.
Recreational.
Let's, you know, write your Congress critter, everybody, and demand an OCCC to replace the OLCC and stop this nonsense. But in the very least, stay tuned to the Mercy Center website and stay apprised of when these meetings are happening. You can certainly check them out on YouTube, on our website, mercycenters.org/TV, or tap on the Mercy-TV tab at the top of your webpage. And tell your friends, tell your enemies. Spread the word, and let's get some spotlights on these cockroaches while they're doing this nonsense there.
Well, and we always like to tell people that if you don't feel that you've had good success with trying to grow your medicine or trying to work it out, you know, give us a call. You know, we have lots of people who are willing to go out and work with people, and that's, you know, that's where
Right,
it
and that's what
is.
we were saying before about that's the benefit of being a card holder in the medical cannabis community. There's the network. You can get clones. You can get this help. You know, you can get some medicine to tide you over until your crop comes in, and then you can help out with the network.
Everybody is not, it's not just like Connie.
Mm-hmm.
Connie, we've been working with Connie for a long time.
Several years
Connie's in good shape, you know, and she's got batches going all over the place.
She's trying to make her own.
You know?
And it's that simple, you know, and you know, just get your medicine, put it in a container, put in your your oil, let it sit, shake it occasionally, and then after 30 days, pour it out and apply it.
Well, like she's doing, she's cooking with one batch, and she's rubbing. She's using the other one topically.
All right. Real quick before we close up. Now, we talked earlier about a case. There was somebody that was having some real issues. They had a sciatic nerve pain here, and then there was numbing and then pain down the rest of the leg, and that was an oil applied to it externally,
right. And just rubbing the oils just go away. You know, a lot of people have the sciatic nerve. If you've had sciatic nerve and you know how from your hip to your leg and down will just totally like it's pure fire, and you can take this oil and rub it on and have the fire disappear for a minute. You know, that would be nice.
But not just the pain management, but also the spasticity. It causes some numbness and so forth,
well,
which is
the fire that's going away and all the other things that go
nerve
along
tingling
with it.
and so forth. Yeah.
That is so because people are taking all kinds of drugs and heavy narcotics and.
But you know, we have seen that with folks with Parkinson's applied topically. It has affected their spasticity, folks' tremors, and other things of that nature. So. You know, find out more. Visit our website, mercycenters.org, or come back again next Friday, 7 p.m., and catch more of Mercy TV. Thanks to our TV audience there, PK. Thanks to our crew helping out there, Lance and all. Thanks to our callers. But thanks most of all to Sonny.
Well, no, thank you, Perry, and thanks to, you know, all the people.
Thanks for Mike.
Yeah, and
Right on, Mike. Thank you.
all the people at the TV station. It's such a good group of people.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. CCTV has been helping us put this, not just a show on, but several shows, be here producing media for a long time, almost a decade now, I think.
Lots of years. And the thing is what they're doing is they're helping us get the information out to you. And you need to hear this information because nobody's talking about how good the medicine is, and the medicine is good medicine, and it's for us, and it's for us to use, and it has such good results.
Right on.
Quality of life.
And that's what we're talking, quality of life.
And you too can come on down and get your message out through CCTV. So come on down and check it out. A good time would be Friday night, so you can come in and join our TV audience and throw some questions out there for us. We're not like your Republican debaters. We take the tough ones, so bring it on.
Oh, yeah. That'd be cool.
Thanks for coming by. We'll see you next time on Mercy TV.
Yeah, that would be cool. We could use some audience, you know. If you have some questions, you could come right on down.
Exactly. But if not, we'll tune on in. Remember, tell your friends, tell your enemies. Have a good
Go
one.
fly a kite.
Thanks a lot.
You want to say anything before I turn it off, Glenn?
Yes, good night.
Good night. God bless you all, every single one of you.